All right. Hello, everybody. It is Sharon here from Content Sparks with Sarah, my partner in crime and Team Sparks, and a special guest today, Alice Miriam Andreat. Did I pronounce that right?
Perfectly.
Oh, good.
Perfectly.
Good. And we are going to be talking about all things Clubhouse because we just launched a white label masterclass all about Clubhouse, and it's the hot new social media platform, still quite new actually, but it's been evolving very quickly. And I know people are going to be joining us throughout since this is a live stream. So I'll keep kind of going back. But most of the time, Alice, you're going to be sharing your wisdom with us. And for people that don't know Alice, I think you told me you've been on Clubhouse since about March, which is really not very long ago at all.
No, well, I got on like in January, but I really got into it in March. So
when things started blowing up. Yeah, we were talking about it just for people coming in. I haven't really done that much on Clubhouse yet because in the beginning it was just people talking on and on and on. And Alice is going to tell us how things have changed and how valuable it is now as a tool for visibility and networking and ultimately promoting your offers and getting those in front of people. So I'm really just going to hand it over to you, Alice, and let you say how you got started and share some of your gems about, first what Clubhouse is and the keys to success on it. All right. And then maybe later we can show the masterclass a little bit that we've done, but that could be later on. All right.
Okay.
Handing it over to you now.
Okay, thank you. So, well, Clubhouse, first of all, is a social audio app. So basically, it's a form of social media and it's directly attached to your phone number. So, for example, I have two phones. So I have another phone and I cannot log into my current account with this phone because it's a different phone number. So I have to have them transfer if you want to do that. And they're kind of iffy on that right now. So it's directly attached to your phone number. You open up the app and you have options in there of basically conversations that are happening. So they have things called rooms, and each room somebody has a host. And that person is basically on what you call a stage. And then everybody else that comes into the room is in the audience. And there's two parts of the audience in Clubhouse. The top row is considered like the VIP row. Those are people that the host of that room are following. So, for example, I'm following Sarah on Clubhouse. And so when she hosts a room and I pop in, I get to be in the front row because she follows me and I follow her. So I'm up there. Anybody who's new to you, maybe that doesn't follow you, goes below that. And there's a little tag that just says other people in the room. And those people cannot speak, they cannot talk, but they can listen to what's going on. And inside the app, there's an option to raise your hand. And when you raise your hand, the host has the ability to then bring you up to the stage so that you can then participate in the conversation. And that's when you end up with a live mic. So, and it's really fun that you can go into the room and then not have to speak, just listen to somebody's conversation if you don't feel like talking. But the interaction, so think of it kind of like a live podcast where people can pop into your podcast and raise their hand and ask you a question. And then it's really evolved above and beyond even that, because I host some rooms and I co-host some rooms where there's a panel of speakers. So you have a variety of experience and you get a variety of perspectives. And there's a lot of banter and back and forth, which I really personally enjoy. I love a good banter, right? And with that, then other people in the audience can ask questions and come up. And it's really a lot of fun to be able to bring people up. And sometimes they're complete strangers. They're new to you. They ask questions and you answer. And the next thing you know, they're DMing you about something and you have a new client. Like, I mean, it can happen as quick as that. There's something very authentic about just talking to people in this app, even though they can't see your face, which is weird, right? Because I was a big fan of doing live video so that people could see your face and get to know you. And here we are on this audio app where there's just a little bubble picture of your face and you're just talking away and people love it. And it's just, I think maybe because they can't see your face, so you're not trying to be all like, ooh, I'm on camera, right? So maybe your voice is more relaxed and authentic. And so the conversations just flow. But it's been very good for entrepreneurs, for coaches, for course creators to be able to really just have conversations with people. It's almost like you can do Clubhouse rooms and talk to people instead of doing discovery calls, right? Like you can just pop in there and be having these conversations. And the next thing you know, you've signed up a new client. So it's really a lot of fun. Are there any specific questions that you have that you would like to talk about, specific things?
Well, firstly, anyone who does have questions, please pop them into the comments. And if you're watching this from our customer group, we won't necessarily be able to see your name unless you give StreamYard permission. So just as an aside, but you can ask questions from anywhere. So for most, I would say the majority of our people, they're not on Clubhouse yet, or if they're on Clubhouse, they haven't really gotten active. But I have read that a pretty large portion of people on Clubhouse are very active on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So my question initially is, how do you keep that under control without it becoming addictive? Like right now, I'm always saying, I don't have time to sit and listen to people. Mm-hmm. But I could see if once you get into it, it could start eating up your time. So like any social media, how do you keep that under control and make it valuable?
Yeah, keeping it under control and keeping it valuable. That's like the key part of it, right? Because you want everything you do there to provide value in some way. Either it's providing value to you or allowing you to provide value to others, right? So you have to have that. So I would say the number one thing is that be very intentional in how you're going to use this. Like from the very beginning, what is your purpose here? And having an open mind of learning, right? But also know that you're going to have time limits. I'm in some rooms and I host shows that can run about 2 hours in the room in the conversation. And there are certain days and times, like maybe after the kids go to bed in the evening, where I'm like, okay, I'll give myself an hour to pop in. But I mean, it really can. And then the next thing you know, if it's really, I get invited to speak at a lot of rooms now. So I put it on my calendar. If you want me to come to your room, it has to be in my calendar and I have time blocked off on there. So if you're really getting active, then that's something that you have to have a system for blocking time on your calendar specifically for that, so that you can say, yeah, I have time on this day. Because otherwise, I mean, in the early days when I was really just starting to get used to it and comfortable, I was on there all day long. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I can't do that anymore. So now I just shut it off, put my phone down, and I'm saying, nope, not going on there until later tonight. So, being intentional is really key, and finding the right people. That's the other thing, that because when you go in there, if you're not following a lot of people, so let me give you the basics. On Clubhouse, you have you get a little profile picture, you get a bio, and the bio can actually be quite long. Like you could write a book in there almost, honestly. So you get a lot of information. Then you have the option in there to add links directly to Instagram and Twitter. And those are the only links. So you don't get a link to your website. You don't get a link to your other social media, just through to Instagram. So I was not a big Instagram user until Clubhouse. And so now, because that's the link to click through, that's where I start to put information now on Instagram. And so when you're speaking and you're in a room and you have all these little heads that you can see are talking, when somebody's speaking, you can tap their face. I call it a love tap the face. And then a part of their bio comes up. And so you can follow them right there. You also get like the first 185 characters of their bio show up there. So you want to make sure those are really good. Like whatever that first 185 characters are, make it good enough for them to sort of swipe up so that they get the rest of your bio. And then when they can scroll and read, they can tap through right to your Instagram. And you're still in Clubhouse, you're still listening, but now you've opened up Instagram. You can follow them there. You can send someone a DM from there, all while you're still talking on Clubhouse. So there's sort of this flow that happens when you're having the conversations. And then from there, you can also go to their Twitter bio. And that's it. Like you can put the name of your website in your bio. It's just not going to be a clickable link. Right. So they may update that at some point. So, I mean, that's like really, that's the main thing. And everything in your bio is searchable on Clubhouse. So when you log in and you're in the very front of Clubhouse, there's an option to search. So you could search somebody's name. You could search a topic. So if you search a topic, for example, course creators, you could search that. So the top results for people who have course creator in their bio will come up. And so then there's an option for people, and then there's clubs. So you can have a club in Clubhouse, which makes sense. It's Clubhouse, right? And so you could get the top results for course creators clubs. And then you can follow those clubs, and you can follow people that are in those clubs. And when you do that, every time that club hosts a room, you'll get a notification that they're hosting a room. And that is really the key way to find the right people and get involved in the right conversations while you're in Clubhouse. Because when you go in there, it's going to give you suggestions. There's going to be it's like a feed, except in Clubhouse, they call it a hallway. So your hallway has all the rooms that are being hosted by the clubs that you follow or the people that you follow, or suggestions that Clubhouse has for you. And so the more people you follow and the more clubs you follow that have the type of content you're interested in either learning about or contributing to, the better that hallway is going to be. Because when I first got on there, that was the problem. All of these, it was a lot of suggestions from Clubhouse on popular rooms, like dating. I don't need a dating room. I'm happily married for, going on 15 years here. So dating rooms aren't quite my thing, so just because those rooms are really popular and I wasn't following enough people. So I was getting these really weird suggestions. So the more people and clubs you follow, the better suggestions you'll get from Clubhouse, but also just the better conversations that are going to pop up there for you to participate in. So when we're talking about the value factor and we're talking about you being able to learn something valuable or participate in a valuable conversation, that's really the key to that, is making sure that you have curated your hallway so that the content that's there is always exactly what you want it to be. That's very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about for people that aren't even on Clubhouse yet? We've got couple people are asking, suppose you don't have an invite, or do you have to be invited?
Yes, Clubhouse is still invitation. It is a little weird that they do it that way, I'll admit. They have this whole status thing happening there with the invites, right? Originally, it was just iOS, it was just Apple. And now they've opened it up for Android, but everybody still needs an invite. And so if you know anybody, I mean, if you don't have an invite and you want one, just DM me. I'll send you an invite. I have a lot of them. So you can invite people personally. Your club also gets a whole bunch of invitations to invite people as well. And on your profile, and that's why I say it's a status thing, the invite. So on your profile at the very bottom under your Instagram link is who invited you, their profile, and link to their profile who invited you in to Clubhouse. And then under that is where you see all of your clubs. But so yeah, it's a status thing. But if you need an invite, you just ask, hey, who's got an invite to Clubhouse? You can ask on Facebook. And you can ask me. And Sharon, you're on there, right? So you have.
I have some invites. I haven't been that active at all on it yet. You're starting to sell me on it more and more.
It's a lot of fun. And with the invite, what you have to do is you have to send that person your phone number, whoever's inviting you, because then what I do is I go in and I tap my invite and I add your phone number. And then that will get, then once I add your phone number, then really what happens is the person goes in and creates an account and types in their phone number. And then it'll say, ooh, this phone number has been put in here already by someone. So that means you get your account. You're approved.
Yeah, there was some confusion over that early on, because what people were doing is they were going into Clubhouse and reserving their name, right? And then when someone gives you an invite, they weren't able to use that name that they'd already set up. I think they had to set up a new one. I remember some confusion. Is that still the way it works? You have to wait to set up your account till someone gives you an invite?
Yes, you have to. Well, no, you can get on the list. So if you get on the list, but when you get on the list, if you use your phone number, as soon as someone sends you that approval, it's better if you wait until someone sends you an invite so that they can put in your phone number. Then when you put in your phone number, it'll say, yay, you get to be in here, So that's really just the easiest way, and those things change, and it's been a while since I've done it. So who knows if they've changed or updated that process. I haven't heard that they have. I still have to invite people. I still have to put in their phone number. All of that is still how it functions. So it's just easier to have the invite first and then put your information in, because it's your name is your name. And so your name will be displayed however you put it, and if I was Alice Smith or something, and there was 1,000 of those, our names would be displayed Alice Smith. It's the @ right? It's your little @ whatever that is unique to you. So I have on Clubhouse, I'm at Alice Miriam. So I've got my, I didn't have to be at Alice Miriam 1 or 2 or whatever, because I was the only one. I didn't get to be at Alice. So there was already an Alice on there by the time I got there. So it is good to get your @ because that is also searchable.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. And the other thing that's searchable on Clubhouse are emojis.
Oh.
So emojis are on your profile. When you tap on your face, you get the little settings tool in the right-hand corner. And when you go into that settings tool, there will be an option for interests. And so when you first set up your account, it asks you your interests so that it can show you relevant content to those interests. each interest has an emoji next to it. And so that emoji, as far as Clubhouse is concerned, is the same as the word. So, for example, if you're a speaker and you use their microphone that they have for speaker, and you put that in your profile or in your bio, and someone types in speaker, it actually recognizes that emoji as the word speaker, and it will show up in results for that. And so if you put the speaker and then the word speaker next to it, it actually gives you double credit for that. So it's almost like the old days of Google SEO, where you could keyword stuff things, right? Sarah,
Emoji stuffing.
Emoji and keyword stuffing is a big thing, because if you have the word, life coach in your thing, 20 times, and someone else only has it 19, you will show up first in the results.
But then nobody's going to want to read your bio, though.
Exactly. So I don't see a lot of that in the bios, where it's just like a whole list of, coach, so that they could keyword stuff. Yeah, I don't see a lot of that, but that is how it works. And honestly, I don't think a lot of people don't know that that's how it works. So that's probably why there's not a lot of that happening. Same thing for clubs. In your club description, the name, all of that, every word and emoji you put in there is searchable and will come up based on those keywords.
So what we need to do is find out the emoji for course creators, and then,
if there is one,
stick 600 or so of them in our bios, so it looks really pretty. And then we show up anytime somebody searches that. Of course, don't do this at home, because you will get banned.
You could do it like they used to do in Twitter, and make a pattern so that you have several of them, then some words, and then make a little design so it shows up if you're really creative.
A little heart.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody will be doing that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. They've got some people have some very fancy looking bios. But right now, some people have fancy text, like bold text. They get like a text editor and put in fancy text. But the key thing about that is to know the fancy text isn't searchable. It won't come up. Only just the basic text that they give you in emojis. If you try to bolden it or add anything fancy, their system can't recognize it. So it won't come up. That's another thing some people don't know, because I see a lot of people with some fancy lettering and fonts. Only Clubhouse's font is searchable.
Okay, that makes sense. They're just trying to make it stand out. All right. I'm just seeing some questions as we're going along here. I don't know if you can see them as well, Alice, but
yeah, I pulled you up on my computer over here so I could kind of see. I see Facebook comments.
Oh, okay. Well,
the page, and not your group.
You don't see it from StreamYard. So here's one. It says, "What is the benefit of you speaking in the rooms?" So I get as a guest.
Well, as a guest, if you're speaking, so as a host of the room, the benefit is that you get visibility, and depending on the topic of your room, the name of your room, people will organically come in because they like the title. Happens to me all the time. And so the benefit of that is that you are getting that visibility, but even more than being visible, they're hearing you speak, and they could raise their hand and come up and ask a question and end up carrying on a conversation with you, which then can lead to a new client or a new connection. It leads to referrals. I've had referrals from that as well. So it's very valuable in that way. And when I first started, so here's how I started. I went into Clubhouse with really the intention of just sort of learning it and learning what was happening there. And I made sure that I started following people. Sarah was in a great summit. She was a keynote speaker there on Clubhouse. And It was really great. And there was a lot of amazing people involved in that summit that I then became connected to. So I would go into their rooms and listen to what they were talking about. I would raise my hand so that I could come up and ask questions and sometimes add a little value of my own. And so because I did that consistently, and consistent it could be once a day for you at a certain time. It could be twice a week for you at a certain time, whatever that looks like, but just being consistent in that. And once I did that, sometimes I'd pop into rooms. I wouldn't even raise my hand, and the speakers and hosts were inviting me up already because they're like, "Ooh, Alice is here. Let's get her up here." Right. And so that just started happening because people recognized that I always had valuable contributions and I always added value to the conversation. And so then before you know it, I have people asking me to host rooms with them and speak at events. And during those events, there's always an introduction. So you tell people who you are and what you do, and you tell them how they can work with you or what you have going on at the time. And so then people can tap through to your Instagram, get to your website link from there, or get into your DMs from there. And it's sort of like this audio funnel, right? That happens through conversation. And so that's where the value is. And that's what the benefit of speaking in a room is. And it gives you practice. If you want to be a speaker and you want to host events, then getting into those rooms and being a speaker can really help you level up your profile as far as the number of times you're speaking and getting your practice at it. There's actually quite a few rooms for specifically that purpose, helping you learn how to speak.
Ooh, so, but it doesn't show how many times you've been speaking in rooms, does it?
No, it doesn't. There's no counter for that. It's just a matter of the people whose rooms you're in recognizing you and the value that you add into the rooms. And being on stage and speaking, sometimes even if you're just asking a question or you're contributing to the conversation, people tap your face and they follow you, right? So when you then host a room, all of those people following you get notified. Hey, Sharon's hosting a room. Oh, good. Let's go see what Sharon is saying. So then people will come into your rooms when you're speaking. And so the more you're on stage, the more opportunities people have to hear your voice, your message, and follow you and find out more information from you.
Yeah. It's not passive, really. It sounds like a podcast. You might just put your earbuds in and go work out and listen to the podcast. This is an active conversation where someone might call on you
Yes.
while you're listening. So you do have to pay attention.
Yes, you can. Now, you don't have to respond if they call on you, right? Because if you don't hit the yes, I want to join the conversation, you don't have to. As a matter of fact, I've seen people changing their profile badges to a graphic that just says listening on it, so people don't try to call on them. So some people do that, and yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And people, you can just go in and listen. Like that's what I did at first because I wanted to get the lay of the land, right? I was figuring out what this was really all about. But then once you figure out the lay of the land, like you can't help yourself, right? There's just these people and they're having a conversation and they're like, hey, if you're in the audience and you want to, join us for this conversation, just raise your hand and come up. And I love to talk. So I was like, yes, I'm raising my hand. Let me come join this conversation. So yeah, so if you love to have conversations with people, then it's a really fun place to be, for sure. Yeah.
So probably in the past year, people have needed that more and more too.
Yes, I think
fueled the growth.
Yes, it really did because we were missing the conversation. And I love Zoom and I love video, but when you have pandemic hair, which is why you have me with a bun, because I still have pandemic hair. My appointment with my stylist is on the 1st. So it's been a year, you know.
Wow.
And when you have pandemic hair and you have pandemic pajamas on and you're just laying around, yeah, the audio is very appealing in comparison to video.
And it's also not recorded, correct? So if you mess up, nobody's going to go back and call you on it. Right?
Yes, but it can be recorded. So I want to make sure that you know that, because it can be recorded, not natively through Clubhouse at this point, but someone who's on stage can have a recording hooked up to their thing that records the conversation. So it can be recorded. You're supposed to alert people when things are being recorded so that they know. For example, when we're hosting shows that are being recorded, we let people know when they raise their hands. We do that every so often. It's called a room reset. And when you reset the room, you let people know if you have questions and you want to come up, that's great. Just know that this is being recorded. If you don't want to be on a recording, click through to my Instagram, DM me your question, and I'll answer it, right? So I give them an option so that if they don't feel comfortable being recorded, they can DM me.
So then do you just keep your Twitter or Instagram rather open so that you can see any DMs during the...
Yeah, that's why I have a second phone. Or a laptop or whatever, you know. I have multiple phones now. So yeah, so that I can have chats going. And I do very often especially when I'm on panel discussions, I will have a chat going with panelists to help coordinate some of the things that are happening in the room.
Right. Right. So that makes sense. And what do you do with the recordings if you do record it?
You transcribe them and you can repurpose them just like you do with any other kind of content. So that recording can be uploaded as a podcast. You can transcribe it and edit it and put it as a blog post. You can look for quotes that people said and tweet them out, or put them on a graphic and post them on Facebook or Instagram. So any way you would repurpose other content, that's exactly what you would do with that.
So long as you keep telling people it's being recorded, because people are coming in and out of the room.
Exactly. And that's one of the processes. Like there's a very formal process on Clubhouse that happens when you're hosting a room. And the process is that the host comes in and starts the room. And if you've scheduled the room, which there is an option, you can schedule people to appear with you. And so when those people click on the room, they're automatically put on stage because they were scheduled to be there. So when that happens, all of those people are on the stage. It takes a minute for people to start coming into the room. So you have someone saying, oh, hello, everybody, come on in. We're just getting started. We're making sure to ping the right people into the room. And, you say hi and you do a little bit of banter so there's not dead air when people are coming in the room and you're just getting started, right? And then from there, the process is, okay, we're going to do some introductions, right? You have people that are speakers. You have people that are moderators. Moderators have a little asterisk. In the US, in the UK, I think it's green, but I've heard in other countries the asterisk is black. So not every country sees the same color, because we tend to call it a green bean. But if we have people from other countries that don't have a green bean, they'll be like, what's a green bean? Like they won't know what we're talking about. So, but it's an asterisk next to their name. And as a moderator, that means you can bring people up to the stage to talk. You can put them back down into the audience. You can even end the room, right? If you're a moderator. Mm-hmm. So you want to be careful with who you let be moderators. And the moderators will introduce the topic. They will ask you to follow the club, follow the room. They will let you know whether questions can be asked and hands raised and come up. They will invite you to follow the speakers and that sort of thing. So it's like having an MC for the room. And so they're constantly doing that. And after a round of questions and answers, they will reset the room for people that have popped in. Hey, today we're talking about this subject. And if you have questions come up, just know it's being recorded. And today we're featuring this person and this person, right? So there's this whole process that sort of happens. And there are rooms that are training moderators and working on that so that people can learn how to do that, because being a moderator can get you a lot of visibility in a lot of rooms. And then you get asked to speak and participate in all kinds of conversations.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And we have people already saying thanks. I was totally confused. Erica said, I'm so glad I'm listening. I was totally confused. And Marley said, joined a couple months ago, but haven't had time to learn how to maximize the experience. Thanks for all the tips. Johnny is saying that the value and practical application translates very well to Twitter spaces as well. Seems both have been in conversation lately in the business circles he's in.
Yes, I've heard about Twitter spaces as well. And I haven't done the Twitter thing. I've never been much of a Twitterer. So I haven't done that. And there's Green Room is a new one through Spotify, which if I highly recommend Clubhouse over Spotify's Green Room, because Green Room is just a hot mess right now of people hosting rooms just to collect each other. There's not a lot of deep, interesting conversations going on, which is one of the reasons I think a lot of people who jumped onto Clubhouse in the early days, why they feel like this is a waste of time, is because a lot of the rooms that were there were just rooms where there was no conversation. It was mics off only, getting stage time counted from Clubhouse and following each other, right? So it was this whole, again, the whole status, the whole, vanity metrics thing that people were trying to collect all of this stuff so that they could be seen as an influencer or whatever it was. And so that's gone on Clubhouse now, right? Like Clubhouse has amazing conversations happening everywhere, whereas Green Room, like, it is hard to find a good conversation. It's very difficult. It's mostly just collecting of each other right now over there. They'll work it out though. If you have a podcast, then you want to get hooked up with Green Room. That'll be a conversation for another day. But podcasters, your podcast can be directly connected to your Green Room profile. So when you're hosting conversations there, you can get your podcast visibility and get new listeners. And it could be like a follow-up to your podcast. It could be a Q&A from your podcast. So there's all sorts of really cool things that you could do in Green Room once they get their stuff together over there.
Actually, it looks like we need to clarify a little something. Yvonne said, do you have to have a lot of clubs before you can have your own Clubhouse room?
Oh, that's a great question. So thank you. So Clubhouse has sort of updated how that happens. You can have your own club now, and it doesn't matter how many of anything you have. It used to be that you had to have hosted a certain number of rooms and done a certain amount of things that Clubhouse deemed good enough for you to create your own club. And now you can create your own club and you can host a room in that club anytime you want. If you're part of clubs, then the club has a setting, every club, and they can allow members to host rooms or not. So when you hit the start a room button, it's a big button at the bottom of the screen, so you don't miss it when you go in. They're like, start a room, have a conversation, right? It's flashing at you. So you hit that, and then up pops a list of all of the clubs that are available for you to host a room in. So that could be your own club, or it could be other people's clubs that you're part of. So, and then you just tap that club, and then you can type in the name of your room, the conversation that you're going to have, and you just hit start. And then you're in a room and you're having a conversation. I hope that answers your question.
I hope so. So you have to, basically when you're on there and you want to have a room, it has to be in a club. And if you don't have your own club, it has to be in a club where you're a member and they allow that.
And it allows that.
Right. It's not that you're having lots of clubs to have a room. It's just that you can't have a room unless it's in a club.
I actually, did we have, no, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
because you know what? Sarah and I didn't have a club or a room, did we? Our club for our room. So it gives you the options to start it in a club. So your conversation can just be a conversation without a club. So you can just tap start a room and just, there's an option to just go and start a room and it's not attached to a club. But if you want to start a room in a club, then all of the options available to you, that's what's most sort of obvious if you're following a lot of clubs, is the list of clubs. Where do you want to have this room? And you have all these options, but you actually do not have to have a club to have a room or do it in someone else's club.
That's why Monica said you can have a room in the hallway. So is the hallway just the general?
It's the feed, right? It's the feed when you log in. You can see all of the active rooms that are being hosted.
Okay, got it. Let's see, what else have we got here? Yeah, Monica said, I've been there, haven't done much but listen since December. I need to do better and position myself. Imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. If you go in, you know, I'm not, you think I'm not qualified to get up there on the stage and talk to people and talk about anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why, and I struggled with that too. So my tip for that is when you go in, to raise your hand and get on stage and ask a question, right? You don't have to be the expert to be on the stage, right? You can just be a participant and ask a question, because I tell you what, my asking questions on the stage is what had people pulling me up and always inviting me, because they're like, you ask such great questions, right? And so I didn't have to be an expert. I just had to ask a question. So you don't have to feel like it's on you to provide the content. You're actually giving them an opportunity to provide content and value by asking good questions.
Right.
And people love that in rooms. They love people to ask questions.
Sure, because it keeps the conversation going and you don't have to think about what to say next.
Exactly. So you don't have to be imposter syndrome. And then as you get comfortable speaking, the next thing you know, you're like, this is what I have to say about that, so you build your confidence that way for sure.
Yeah, it's like anything else, like the live streams.
Mm-hmm.
If just going on your own and having to talk and talk and talk is very different than if you're going back and forth with somebody and what they say makes you think of something else and vice versa. So I can see the benefit there. Marlise also asked, do you feel like Clubhouse is still on the way up or has it begun to taper off? Because some people are saying it's not as hot as it was when you just joined.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to people. That's all I can say. Don't listen to people. There's always going to be a shiny thing that some people are like, oh, this is over. That's so over. There's still a lot of people that say Facebook is dead and you're never going to do anything on Facebook, right? So
that's me.
Yeah.
It's you.
And yet there are still people doing great things on Facebook. So it's all a matter of your own perspective on the platform. If you're looking at it and you think it's dead, then it's dead to you. And that's all there is to it. But if you look at it like an opportunity and a place to have great conversations, those things are still very actively happening all over Clubhouse. Again, it's a matter of curating your hallway so that it always is full of the exact kinds of conversations you want to be having with people.
Right. And limiting your time and scheduling it into your, because I get things popping up constantly all day long if somebody's talking and very distracting.
It is. And so I don't want to turn my notifications on there off, but when I'm busy and it's really annoying me, there's an option to pause your notifications until tomorrow for an hour, all of those things. And so when I'm not on there and I don't want to be bothered because I'm busy working on something, I mute my notifications. Right in the app, it's just a couple of taps and you can do that. I also mute my notifications while I'm in a room and I'm speaking, because you're on your phone and you're like, you scroll through who's there, you tap people's profiles, you might tap your settings. Those notifications come up so fast. The number of times I've been the speaker in a room and I went to tap my settings thing and a notification for a room came up at the same exact time and it sucked me into the other room. And I'm like, oops, leave and go back to the other room. Like, that happens so many times. People just pop out of the room and they disappear and then they pop back in and you're like, I accidentally hit a notification and it sucked me into another room. So I always pause my notifications and I always put do not disturb on my phone so that I'm not getting a call, because Clubhouse tells you now when someone's on the phone. So instead of a little picture of a microphone next to your profile, it has a picture of a red phone, letting people in the room know you're on the phone now and you're not participating in the conversation. So, I always turn do not disturb on. If I'm the speaker, right? If I'm hosting a room, how weird is it to have this big red phone next to me if someone calls me like, oh, she's hosting this room, but she don't care. She's on the phone, like. So yeah. So I do that. I pause notifications sometimes. And yeah, you have to do that. And also that's why I have two phones. Again, this one does not have Clubhouse on it. So it has all of the everything else on it. So I can do other things and not have one Clubhouse notification come up.
You could do that with an iPad or something, couldn't you?
Yes, you can do that too. And my kids have confiscated my iPads right now. So, and I'm not buying another one. So.
Yeah, because not everybody saves their old phones.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I just bought a new phone and I still have this phone. So maybe I'll be down to one phone eventually.
Well, at least said I only use Clubhouse on my iPad, no phone interruptions. So that would mean if you're using it on your iPad, that would mean you'd have to use the phone number that's your iPad versus your regular phone number.
Yeah, it has to be. It's attached to a phone number of some kind.
Yeah. No, I'm too late now. I'm stuck.
Yeah. Well, at some point they did say, and it might be available because I haven't checked yet. They've released a couple of updates that I haven't really dove into yet, but they will have the ability to either ask them to transfer your account, and then they want to build in the ability for you to transfer your account when you get a new phone or a new phone number. So that'll be an option, because I know people that have like 5 Clubhouse accounts because they have 5 different phone numbers or devices, and so they can do that. I'm like, nope, one is good enough for me.
Oh, Marley said she did use her cell number on the iPad.
Yes,
so maybe once you have the app downloaded, if you're already a member, you should be able to do that. I'm going to have to play with that myself.
Yeah, through your iPad.
I'd rather use my iPad than my phone any day. Can read it better if you have the option, or tablet. Because now that there's Android.
I'm on my phone and you see me, I can't, I'm nearsighted. So to see the screen, I have to do this, right?
That would be me. Yeah, exactly.
And the same thing, I'm like...
So maybe they'll put it onto a desktop at some point. Most social media at some point able to use it on a desktop as well. But one step at a time, right?
Yeah, one step at a time. We'll see. I mean, they have released it to Android. Android still doesn't have all of the same exact features and functionalities that iOS users have, but they're getting there. They're getting there. So.
Okay. All right. Well, with Android now opening up, I think there's going to be a lot more people, because yes, iPhone, everybody has an iPhone, but actually more people do not have an iPhone. They have an Android.
Right. No, the reason that most people start with iPhone when they're creating an app is because iPhone only has a handful of versions that people have to worry about programming, whereas Android has like thousands. And so it's a lot more complicated to program an app that will work properly across all Androids than it is across all Apple devices. So that's why Apple tends to be first on a lot of them. It's not really that, I mean, it kind of feels like it's a snob thing, right? Like, oh, it's Apple and versus Android. But really, it's just about the programmability of an app for Apple. It's easier. That's really why it's always beta. A lot of beta comes out as Apple.
Yeah. All right. Well, now the rest of the world can be on Clubhouse.
Yes, and there has been a very large influx of Android users, so it's been fun. Yeah.
So you talked a lot about running clubs and stuff like that, and being moderators. But hang on.
It doesn't work putting your hand up on StreamYard. It's not like Clubhouse where they have to pay attention to
Oh,
you.
you were just waving.
I was like, I think Sarah wants to talk to me. Yeah.
You got to clap, maybe? I don't know.
Next time, yeah.
So, Sarah, I'll be quiet.
No, I'll just be quick. I would say make sure you charge your freaking phone before you do a room. So there's me and Alice doing our doomed marketing room. I say doomed because I could not wrap my head around being on Clubhouse Monday nights at 7 p.m. A very simple thing. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. But luckily, Alice is very forgiving. So one week, the two of us, it was just the two of us in the room, and we were practicing and, riffing off of each other with no audience. And then I went because my phone went flat. So, of course, because my phone's flat, I'm having to run around the house looking for the laptop. Who's got my laptop? Who's got my laptop? Right, to send Alice a frantic message saying, I've not abandoned you. My phone's gone flat. And then at the same time as I'm trying to get a message to Alice to let her know what's going on, I'm trying to find the charger, running around going, where's my charger? Where's my charger? Where's my charger? So if you're doing a room and you're going to be on Clubhouse for some time, make sure you're sitting next to the charging socket, or you've got a USB port next to an extension lead that's plugged into the wall where you're sitting on the sofa or on the bed in your pajamas still. And make sure you got it plugged in so it's continuously charging and not draining your battery, so you're booted off the call. And that's just from my experience.
Or a power bank. You could have a brick, one of the power bricks, and just if you're walking around and don't want to be tied to the outlet.
Yep, I've had to use that. I've had to do that. I helped produce a Clubhouse summit that ran 24 hours.
Oh my God.
And I was on stage 16 hours a day. So wow. I had to plug in quite often.
Actually, speaking of summits, Marlies was asking how you produced a summit on there, because as I mentioned earlier, for anyone who didn't hear, you've only been on there since March, really, actively, and
really.
Yet
yeah.
Here you are producing summits, because Monica was also asking with the new class, do you think you need a huge following to garner credibility to actually teach people about Clubhouse? So how do you start getting active and having that credibility and producing summits and stuff?
Well, it really, again, you have the intention of going on there to learn, ask questions, participate, and provide the value. And that is all that I did. Sarah was a keynote speaker in the summit, and that particular person that hosted that summit, I participated throughout the rest of that particular summit and continued to participate in other rooms. I became a speaker for that person. I became a moderator in the rooms for that person. And because I was in constant communication with that person, just asking, what do you need help with? Then they were doing the summit, the next round of a summit. And I was just like, I'm happy to help out and sharing some ideas based on my experience in the previous summit, and saying, here's some things that I think you could do that would be a better experience. And then, that really led to Mike Wayne. Mike Wayne, we call him the mayor of Clubhouse. Um, that led to him inviting me to help him produce that summit. So, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and we're preparing for Clubhouse Summit 3 right now.
So basically, you got involved in the summits by being active and active in other people's summits, participating, having the conversations, and that led to being invited.
Yes. And that's, I mean, really, there's just this sort of authentic conversations that tend to happen when you're in Clubhouse. I mean, because you are hair in a bun, in your pajamas, relaxing on the sofa, laying in bed, and you're just on your phone chatting with people, it just gives this more authentic, relaxed vibe when you're speaking. And so you just build these relationships so quickly with people, and that connection. And that's really how it happens. And being consistent and showing up and providing the value and asking, like, just ask, hey, I speak on XYZ topic and I see that you host rooms on that. I'd love to have a conversation with you someday. I had a person, I co-host a show with somebody simply because we were in a room together and we had conversations before. And I said to them, you know what, we have such great conversations, we should host our own room. And that person said, you know what, I love that idea. They messaged me, here's my idea for a show, I want you to be my co-host. Like, that's how it happened. And so it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what you need to do. Just have the conversations with people, and the next thing you know, you're producing summits, you're co-hosting shows, you're everywhere. Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time since we're kind of reaching our hour point. There is one more quick question,
Sure.
and then I'm hoping you can just give us some final tips for people new
Okay.
on Clubhouse. So Elena is just asking, how do you make someone a moderator?
Ooh, so inside the app, you tap on that person's face once you bring them up to the stage. You tap on their face, and then a little menu for that person will pop up for you as the host and moderator. And there'll be an option to make a moderator. And when you tap that button, it'll then give them the asterisk. We call it in the US and UK, we tend to call it a green bean, but in other countries it could be a different color, but we call it a bean anyway, and it's got an asterisk. And that's how they're a moderator. But be careful when you're making moderators, right? Because there are rooms, that was one of the things that was happening in the early days. You'd have hundreds of people on stage. And once you're a moderator, you can also make other people moderators, right? So people would just start bringing other people on stage and making each other moderators. The number of room titles that said, "Who ended my room?" Like, because somebody moderated up too many people. As a moderator, you could kick people out of the room. And there was so much drama happening, which is why a lot of people were like, okay, I don't need to deal with Clubhouse, right? Because that was happening in the early days. So know, like, and trust whoever you make a moderator. And you don't have to have a million moderators. 3 is generally good for an average size room. You and 2 other moderators is usually pretty good.
Okay. And if you're doing something more formal, presumably it would be suggested to have a moderator. Like if you're just running a room as part of your business to have some conversation, it's got to make life easier if you have a moderator there. It's not.
Absolutely. Because that's for sure. Have somebody co-host or be a moderator with you for those type of rooms, because what happens is people raise their hand. And when people raise their hand, you can tap on their profile to see, is this a real person, right? Do they have a name and a bio and a link to their Instagram? Okay, they do. Let them on stage, because you need to vet the people. And it's really hard to vet them while you're also still speaking, right? To pay attention to that process. So even when you're having smaller conversations, it's really helpful to have someone helping you.
Yeah. Just like what we're doing here, Sarah and I are keeping an eye on stuff, and and listening to you at the same time, so that you can focus on actually speaking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's nice. It's a lot of fun, and people can take turns moderating. On Clubhouse, I'm at Alice Miriam, and I have the producers club on Clubhouse. There's another producers club, but my producers club has a black and gold photo logo, and we talk a lot about hosting rooms in there and moderators and trainings and things. So if you're interested in going onto Clubhouse and learning more, you can certainly follow me over there and follow the club to participate in those conversations. And I'm always happy to do further trainings anywhere, especially when it comes to speaking and moderating. I'm very I have a way I like to do things. There's definitely more than one way, but I have a way that I like to do things.
I'm just putting that
Yes,
up there
perfect.
because the
Alice
comments
Miriam.
don't always show, and if somebody's watching from our private group, the comments and stuff don't necessarily show.
Yes. So yeah, you can follow me over there, and I'm always in rooms and hosting rooms that provide updates on Clubhouse and the value there too. So
yeah, Marlise said she just followed all three of us. Uh-oh.
Yay!
I'm gonna have to get back on there now.
You can and
participate.
Yeah, we should talk, and you can tell me what kind of conversations you're interested in, and we can host a room.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
3 of us.
Yes, and Sarah could join too. That would be so fun. I love chatting with Sarah.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen. I'm not going to turn up, or my phone's going to go flat.
Well, we'll make sure to message you ahead of time to charge your phone.
Yeah, the phone would be on one of those running bands on my arm, and I'll be like, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone?" And you'll be saying, "It's on your arm, you silly moo." And I'm like, "Oh yes, oh yes."
I have done that too many times. So any final words of wisdom to for people who are new, so they can get active without imposter syndrome or taking up your whole day, but getting some real value out of it for business, especially for course creators and coaches here?
Yeah, I mean, just know that you don't always have to be the expert, right? We don't all know all the things about all the things. And so when you go on there, just have that mindset and perspective and intention that you're there to learn and take it in. I mean, as someone who's new, that's definitely the best approach, is to want to learn and listen in on a few rooms. And then when you feel comfortable enough, maybe it's a room that someone is speaking in, then raise your hand, ask a question, dip your toe in the water a little bit of it at a time. There's the saying of go big or go home. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to go big or go home? Like, can't I just go forward? Like, why does it have to be big, right? So I think that's a limiting belief. And so I think it's great to dip your toe in and build your confidence. Raise your hand, ask a question, and go from there, and really feel out what rooms that you're going to be in that are providing the value, the people. Curate that hallway of following the right people and following the right clubs, because that is really going to determine your experience, right? So just like in your real life, the people you surround you with, you take all of that on. So if they're positive, amazing people, then that lifts you up. If they're blah, then it pulls you down, right? So Clubhouse is the same way. Be very intentional about curating that hallway, and it takes a little time at first. So just dip your toe, an hour here, an hour there, and just go with it and see what happens. And feel free to ask me questions anytime.
Okay. We will see you on Clubhouse. Any last words from you, Sarah, that we need to? We'll talk about the course another time, I think.
You sure you don't want to get it up quickly, because it could be on screen in 3 seconds. We could do a real fast zip through it.
We could do. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, go on.
Go.
All right.
So.
This is just the This is the brandable course we put together. That's called, whoa, what happened? Are you sharing this, Sarah?
No, it's up on the screen. I just moved us to the left.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what we're actually doing. 12 Steps to Clubhouse Success. This is one of these white label courses, but it's not one of our typical ones. It's set up as a master class. And that means that we put together slides and a script and all sorts of other resources and stuff in there. There's a cool GIF that shows. So this is different than our regular stuff, and it's only available for a few days. But it goes through some of the basics, a lot of stuff some of the things that you talked about, Alice, but also down to the really, here's how you get started, the bio, how to get some visibility, have conversations. It's some of the language involved, and the 12 steps to Clubhouse success. So you get, let me show you. So you get a slideshow and speaker notes and the notes handout. So the script and a handout for people. All ready to do as a webinar or masterclass live stream, however you want to do it. So is there anything particular you want to look at, Sarah, that I should pull up quickly?
The planner. Show them the planner.
Oh, always. The
journal.
The journal. So there is the slideshow. And that's, how many slides is it? And we can do it in a plain and a designer, as we called it. So I'll just show that quickly so you know what I'm talking about when we say it's a master class. So there's 61 slides, so it's a shorter one. And it just goes through all the different things, the 12 steps, like how to get an invite and topics and your profile and stuff like that. And then there's, as part of the different things that you can give to your students, we have that. There's a success checklist. So the things you have to do. And then the thing you wanted to show, Sarah, is the journal. I think I'll show it in your size, A4. It's in PowerPoint. So it can be set up as a printable or with a cover on Kindle Direct. So it can be printed. And it helps you plan out the big picture on Clubhouse of what you want to get done, some of the people you follow, your goals, and then planning out your actual, let me go through, got goals, your ideas for content, repurposing content you already have, and then monthly planning out what you're going to do. All the different topics, rooms and topics and stuff like that. So this is really handy because it can get overwhelming, like we heard earlier, all the different things you can be doing and how it can eat up all your time. So it's great to have something like this, a journal, to plan it out and keep yourself organized so you don't get totally sucked in and drowned in the conversations. So this is something that does come with the new course that we just released, this masterclass, versus just your regular online course. Anything else you want to quickly see? There's some bonuses. Oh, I have to show one of the bonuses.
Oh, yes. Show the dinosaur bonus.
The videos.
Mm-hmm.
This is a scroll stopper video. So this is going to help you with getting attention to your masterclass. Let's see if it'll open up in here. Oh, wait, it's in the wrong screen. Hang on. I have to move it over and I'll redo it. Let me get it back to the beginning and make it full size. Okay. Now can you see it?
Yep.
I love these, the 3Ds. So that's going to stop anyone. And then they'll message you about your masterclass. I love these. So that's one of the bonuses. Whoops. Still
and
there?
there's even 2 Instagram reel sized videos to help you promote, and you may even get to see one of those.
Let's see. Can you hear the music? It's very cool. So those are things you can get and just stick on your social media feed, and people will message you once you have your masterclass ready to go. I'm not going to show all of them. All right. So if anyone else has, oh, I see some comments. Oh, Peter George just said, I want to see it. All right. I showed you a tiny little bit. You're going to have to ask if there's something specific. We lost you, Alice. Alice, you got to unmute. I can unmute you. Nope, I lost her entirely. What happened?
She'll be back.
All right.
I hope she will be.
Either that or she didn't want to see any more of this. Or I clicked. No, I know I didn't remove her. I was clicking unmute.
I think she's just popped over to get it because this will be right up her street. She loves a good journal, does Alice.
Well, this is great for oh, wait, quick question, Yvonne. What is the range amount we should charge for this class? A gazillion.
Yeah.
This is one of those really topical things. So I would always charge a bit more if you can. But it's going to depend on what other people are charging in your market too, and how you're delivering it. So you're going to have to take a look. So it's, if everyone's teaching something to your market on Clubhouse for, $97, it's going to be hard to charge $9.97 unless you're delivering a lot more value of some sort. So you would charge more if you're, say, have a couple levels where you're maybe teaching it as a live webinar and then have an upsell to help someone personally get set up on Clubhouse and help them with moderating their rooms, their first rooms, and getting visibility. So there's a big difference in what you would charge. Sarah, what are you going to do? Unmute.
Sorry. I would say I would be looking to charge between $27 and $77 for this. It's a one-off class, but the planner's there as well. So you've sort of got an upsell. There's also an additional little slideshow that you can make into a bonus video as well.
All right.
So it's a really nice little package to do as a one-off, because at the moment you're at the top, you're the early adopters. It's less than a year old or just around its year birthday mark. So there's still going to be lots of people coming in. There's still a lot of interest in it. But this isn't something that's going to be evergreen and you're going to be making money off of forever. You've got probably 6 months to another 8 months before the market has even more Clubhouse tuitions and Clubhouse trainings. So you're in a really good position to charge at the upper end range. And if you've got additional services like speaking, that you help people do public speaking and various things like that, then great. And Sharon's just showing some of the marketing materials.
I'm just keeping the visuals going while you're talking.
So, they've got some lovely bits there that you can use to promote yourself and to give to your audience to promote themselves. So you've got a lot of value that you can give somebody, as well as having the journal. And if this was me, and I'm not planning on teaching this one to mass market, I'm planning on teaching it just for my membership. So it will go into my membership rather than on general release for everybody. My big thing will be, if you enjoy this, you'll need to get the planner. And then, because they're already paying members of my membership, they essentially get it for free. Where I make my money is in the planner. And if they all buy it around the same sort of time, that kickstarts the Amazon algorithm. It will push my planner to the top, and that's where I'm going to make the majority of my money. So that's how I'm going to price it and promote it. So you're not going to be able to buy it from me if you don't know me, if you're not part of my membership. It's exclusive to them, and I'll be sharing my story. I'll also be having Alice come along. She's well known in my community, and I will get her to be sharing some horror stories of Clubhouse, and I'll make it into a really nice experience. And that's what I plan to do it. By the way, Alice says her phone crashed.
Oh, and that's what Marlise said that, and I thought you were just joking, but it was actually the case after we just talked about all that. That's fun. All right, well, Alice is gone. And presumably, Sarah, you're going to do some stuff on Clubhouse where you talk about Clubhouse and getting started on it so that you can get people to your masterclass. Though actually you said it's only available to people in your academy. So
yeah. And you know, they're used to having me do a masterclass style thing for something that comes out new, because the masterclass thing rather than a course is much faster. For us, it's faster to record it, and for them it's, I wouldn't say it's almost faster to consume, because there may be, say, 3 hours of masterclass. I hope not. I'm going to have to speak fast. But it's a different, they're expecting to sit down for a one-off session rather than have a course that where they come back forth, dip in and out when they want. They expect to be doing this in one session. So that's why I'm popping it in. Not only that, I've neglected them just a tiny.
Don't know.
So they need a masterclass. They need a reminder why I love them.
And there's just the GIF of all the stuff that I gave you a peek at some of it. So before we finish up, I just want to remind everybody that if you came in late, you should definitely watch all the beginning stuff where Alice spent basically the first hour of this live stream giving us lots of tips and wisdom on Clubhouse and how to get started in Clubhouse, how you can do more advanced stuff in Clubhouse. You definitely want to watch that if you missed it. And then this is just the link to our new masterclass, white label masterclass on Clubhouse that is only available until the 30th. So only for a few days. And then it's gone. We're taking it down because this is one of those things that's always changing. You want to jump on it now, be teaching it now while it's hot. And then maybe in the future, you know, we might update it and release it again. I don't know. We'll see. But you can't count on that. So definitely you want to grab that, use it to get started on Clubhouse yourself if you're not there already. I have to get on there and do more. I looked at it early on and wasn't impressed. And then, as Alice said, that's a lot of people who started on it really early didn't get involved because it was a mess. And now it's become much more, it's evolved and the conversations there are really good and really valuable. And you just have to get on there with a learning mindset and you'll gradually get into these conversations, and everything's about conversations. If you can get into a conversation with someone, it leads to them becoming a client or a student or a customer, and you getting other opportunities to speak and have conversations. And that is what it's all about these days. Yeah. And that is everything for today. Okay. Are we all set?
Yep. I think everyone needs to rush over and get Clubhouse. I think
you already have your marketing plan, so I gotta let you go because you're ready to go. All right, everybody, contentsparks.com/clubhouse. All right, go ahead and grab that and let us know if you have any questions at all. All right, take care all. Talk soon. Bye.